In this episode, it's a 6.5 Media crossover extravaganza. TC from Studio Demands It and Dan from Fix-tion join David to talk about the Legend of Zelda TV show. Hello and welcome to another Zelda podcast. I'm your host, David Geisler, and tonight I'm joined with two very special people. I'm here with Dan McCoy. Dan, how are you?
Hello, everyone.
Now, it's been a little bit of time. You were all over the place in season 4, but we haven't heard from you since season 4, actually. It's been a good, 5, 6, 7 episodes here.
I've been literally waiting by the phone for you to call me. I haven't done anything of value. It's been really lonely. I'm so glad you called me back.
Well, I'm glad you're here. But Dan, we also have another person who our AZP listeners should be quite familiar with.
Oh, yes.
He's maybe on paper a guest, but in our hearts, he's family.
Oh, yes.
Which is just... Keep talking about me like I'm not here.
Yeah.
Yep. Dan, who's with us tonight? I'm going to let him introduce you there, TC.
This is
I did it.
I was so ready. I have a whole script written.
It was an accident.
This is the one, the only, the closest thing to a celebrity that I've ever met.
Oh, dear God.
TC from Studio Demands It.
Hello.
Hey, TC.
I am back. Our annual crossover.
So this is super cool. So during season 3 and season 4, Dan has been a contributing member. He's really helped me he and many people have helped keep the show alive, and we've really been doing some interesting and exciting things. But Dan's been able to be on quite a bit in season 4. Mm-hmm. Dan has a new show coming out. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But what happened here is we had a little bit of a Kismet event with our schedules.
What is it?
Kismet?
Kismet?
It's like serendipity.
Yeah, some say
it.
Kismite, but I say Kismet.
Okay.
TC, technically this story started with you reaching out a few weeks ago saying, like, how do you feel about our annual Studio Demands It AZP crossover?
Yeah, which you weren't expecting. You kind of were surprised when I said, well, no, this is an annual tradition. You get the third to last episode every season.
Having it be annual, I was flattered and excited. We did it in season 1 or season 2 or whatever it was.
We did 1 and 2.
1 and 2. Did we not do 3 then?
This is season 3.
For Studio Demands.
Studio Demands.
Well, I'm talking about AZP.
David, you're doing great. You're doing great, David. Just real solid.
We had a pronoun game happening here. What show are we talking about?
Let's do this real quick. Let's get our topic out there tonight. Yeah. Tonight, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be discussing the 4th, 5th, and 6th kind of episodes of the Legend of Zelda TV show that happened in the 80s.
Well, buckle up, everyone.
Excuse me, princess.
Now, of course, Dan, a year ago, TC came here to Chicago and we watched the first 3 episodes and we talked about those episodes. Mm-hmm. First 3 episodes, and in an AZP episode, we talked about those episodes. And it came to be that TC and Dan, you were both able to be here in Chicago on the same weekend.
Stars aligned. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan's been such a great force on AZP over the last couple seasons. And then TC, you kind of have this like longer relationship with AZP that I was like, this is going to be a very special event. So here's the thing. The reason I'm being a little long-winded right now is because it's 3:00 in the morning. Because
is that it?
David's drunk.
Just 3:00 in the morning?
Not true.
No, he's not true. Not true.
But we decided that the way it came to be is that, Dan, you were able to show up last night, and TC, your flight into Chicago tonight landed at like 10:40. Yeah, 10:30, 10:40. Mm-hmm. And then we had a little complications with whatever, but we got in here and we watched the 3 episodes. So we got back here, maybe had a touch of dinner. We watched the 3 episodes, and now we are recording, and it is 3:00 in the morning. And I tell you what, I'm having the weirdest emotion right now because the reason I'm a bit giddy is that I'm with 2 of my best friends. Aww. It's 3:00 in the morning. Oh, they just held hands. Just held hands real quick.
Your hands are so warm. I almost didn't let go. I'm not going to lie. I was like, oh, okay, let it go, Dan. You just met him.
But how funny is this that like we're almost having a sleepover, guys.
Oh,
we're almost 14 again. Yeah. We're 10 years old again, watching cartoons at 2:00 in the morning.
And then talking about
it at 3:00 in the morning.
I also have the same kind of feeling, but it also may be these like 9 energy drinks that I'm like are pumping through my system right now.
Dan is vibrating.
Yeah. It's either my heart's growing or the palpitations. It's one or the other.
So this afternoon, since we knew that we'd be recording so insanely late tonight, Dan went to the grocery store and got a couple of power drinks. I don't know, energy drinks.
Power drinks.
It's a couple double shots and whatnot. I'm personally partaking in a little bit of sugar-free Red Bull. I think the main ingredient is the dying souls of battery acid.
The dying.
Delish.
Yeah, I think so. It tastes like it, but that's where we're at.
I'm on West Coast time, so I'm wide awake.
Oh, you're 2 hours behind us.
That's right, yeah.
So for you, it's like 1 in the morning. You're
Biologically, it's only 1
but
o'clock.
to be fair, you also have Taco Bell in you, so like you're probably going to be falling asleep any second now.
I'll also be vibrating from the other end.
Oh, jeez Louise. So here we are. We're going to do this, and TC, thank you so much for flying in and getting in here and being part of the show. Dan, thanks for driving over here from St. Louis.
Not a problem.
Thanks for having us.
4 hours in cornfield, and then you hit the city.
I feel like we all need to have bowls of popcorn right now and like be in sleeping bags. I'm a 40-year-old man, but I'm having flashbacks to literally being 10 years old and watching like cartoons and all that.
I will literally go get my Jimmy Jams.
If we don't
have pajamas with you. I saw them in your suitcase.
Look, I don't play around with my pajama game.
Full body pajamas.
If I'm going anywhere, I'm a man who has jammies. Okay,
man jams.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, man jams. I like it.
Yeah.
Man jammas.
Well, guys, okay, so tonight we watched 3 more episodes of the Zelda cartoon. We certainly have thoughts. TC, the first time we did this, only you and I watched it, and I think I have some new thoughts. I took some notes. Dan, I'm so pleased that you're joining us, but let's do a little bit of listener feedback first.
Great. Absolutely.
Great.
All right, cool. Here we go. We have Ralph Umen over on YouTube on our Link's Awakening episode, back in season 1, episode 6.
Oh, hey, Ralph.
Yeah, Ralph here says, went back to some old episodes and absolutely love this one. All right. I'm playing Link's Awakening on the Game & Watch for the first time, the little collector's thing that came out, and I'm really enjoying it. I live in the Netherlands, and every time an episode comes out, I listen to it while cycling to school.
Oh my
Big
gosh.
fan of the podcast, green heart emoji. So we have adopted the green heart as our like little Zelda love emoji.
That's great.
You know?
Yeah.
And we're now
Ralph, that's
international.
You've been international, I'm sure.
We have listeners from all over the world. It's
That's
always very
amazing.
exciting.
That's awesome.
and Ralph over here in the Netherlands is listening to us while Ralph is biking. I listen to podcasts while I bike a lot as well. I don't know. What's your main podcast listening experience, TC?
When I run, I run every day. So
You run every day?
I try to run every day at least.
I told you you're a runner.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only time where my hands are if I'm sitting, I'm working, right? If I'm at my computer, I'm writing or watching YouTube. But when I'm out running, I'm literally just feet on the ground going. So it's the best time for me to listen to anything. So I catch up on my podcasts.
I am a horrible runner and a good biker. My little sister is a very good runner and not so great at biking.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating how you feel like it's like, what's the deal? It's all cardio, but somehow these little exercises do affect your body in slightly different ways and maybe different body types are.
I too work out. Is what I too.
I thought that about you. That shirt is really tight on you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when you buy a size smaller, that happens,
That's right.
it's usually.
Oh, speaking of shirts.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So you have a mystery shirt. He reveals it. So TC right now is wearing a My Little Pony shirt, but it's actually titled My Little Epona.
Yep.
And there's a My Little Pony styled as Epona with the white hair and everything. I see a Hyrule shield. I see a Master Sword. I see rupees.
We got
even a yellow rupee. That's a
little
deep
Navi
cut.
up there. Yeah.
That's a deep cut.
TC, how did you acquire that shirt?
There's a couple sites I look at that do nerd shirts, like T Fury, Red Barrel, and $5 tees or whatnot. That I try to find the sites that only keep designs up for 24 hours.
Oh wow!
So there's a few out there that you can find, and I don't remember which one this one came from, but I like the 24-hour only sites because there's not going to be a million people who have these shirts. There's a super limited. Stock. So
makes you feel special.
Yeah.
I dig it.
That's a special shirt. I've never seen anything like it. It's great.
I'm glad you like it. I knowing this trip was coming, I have 3 Zelda shirts for the weekend. So
amazing. A little behind the curtain, we're going to be recording a Studio Demands It episode tomorrow, and maybe you'll wear a Zelda shirt for that.
It's either that or shirtless. You get to pick.
First of all, I have a pair of pajamas. If you would like, we could just take the sleepover mentality and do it tomorrow at 11:30 in the afternoon.
Sleepover. Dan, what's your preferred podcast listening experience?
Working out. I mean, it's like we move. No. So honestly, it's background noise for me. Cleaning the house.
Oh, sure.
There's not really something that I do as much as all the little things that I do, it's just, that's what I put it on the background.
Nice.
Fair enough. All right, here we go. We've got another comment over here on YouTube. Ryan Betts commented on our Breath of the Wild Gameverse Reality episode.
This was a good one.
Might be our most recent episode
last time
since.
Yeah.
TC, this was a very special experience. I had gone down to the land that Ginksy and I have down in Kentucky, and Dan came in and joined me for a couple days.
Oh, yeah.
And we decided to turn it into an episode. And what we did was we made a list of things that happened in Breath of the Wild.
Oh.
And then we tried them on the land.
That's fun.
And I spoke to it. Yeah. It was great. So Breath of the Wild, Game vs. Reality. Ryan Betts here says over on YouTube, he says, great idea for an episode, guys. I am feeling inspired to try a Zelda, but in real life activity on my own, where I walk into a stranger's house and smash their pots.
I like how you said great idea right before this and then finished what the actual idea was.
I don't know. I wonder if
great idea.
I didn't see this comment.
Breaking and entering.
Maybe Celeste. I love it. Obviously, I'm sure Ryan is joking here, so I'll go from the top. Here we go. Great idea for an episode, guys. I'm feeling inspired to try a Zelda, but in real life activity on my own, where I walk into a stranger's house and smash their pots. Pros: it would be a fun way to recreate the most cathartic part of those games while also possibly finding some rupees inside. Smiley emoticon. Cons: I'd probably go to jail and miss out on Breath of the Wild sequel. Frowny face. Should I go for it or should I stick to my other idea? Snowboarding on a frozen leaf a la Twilight Princess. Any advice helps.
All my brain goes to is just like Shawshank Redemption and Andy in red. He's like, like, if you want to get the new Breath of the Wild, it's gonna cost you something. Like Andy asking Red to smuggle in like a Switch and Breath of the Wild 2.
I think I like this. I love it, Ryan. I also like the deep cut reference to the frozen leaf snowboarding, which happens in Twilight Princess. Which I don't know if you guys
think that's a great idea.
Did either of you play Twilight Princess? I know you didn't. Dan.
Nope, I haven't
played either. Although I listen to the score all the time because good writing music.
Twilight Princess is my favorite Zelda game. But there's a moment maybe 75% into the game where all of a sudden Link becomes a rude dude with an attitude, which will speak to our episode tonight. And he hops on a piece of bark and starts snowboarding down a mountain.
Nice.
And you play that part.
I've always said the one thing I think Zelda needs more of is snowboarding. I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. David actually has told me to stop bringing it up on the show.
It's getting annoying.
Yeah.
Well, you shouldn't have got it tattooed on your arm.
Well,
yeah. Or just play Twilight Princess finally.
Also, don't tell me what to do.
Rude dudes over here.
Rude dude with an attitude. Here we go. Kiki Beth over on YouTube as well. A lot of YouTube tonight. Kiki Beth on our Princess Zelda's episode, which was our second episode of season 5, where Mallory Kuhn and I basically just spoke about all the Zeldas through all the games and spoke about we talked a little bit about how they are similar and different. And then what happened is you kind of have this interesting conversation about how female protagonists have changed from the 80s up to the 2020s. It was a nice conversation.
They're no longer the damsels, I suppose.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But
Kiki Beth here says, great discussion, as always. Since you like Zelda characters in the Breath of the Wild, I highly recommend playing Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, or at least watching the cutscenes. It adds so much to this fantastic character, Zelda, and her narrative is also integrated into gameplay, as you mentioned, was missing in Breath of the Wild. Can't wait for your Skyward Sword review. Oh, well, our Skyward Sword review has come out already as of this episode. We had a great time. Kate and I talked about it. It was episode 4 of season 5. Kiki, thank you very much. I'm halfway through Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, and I will say that it's a bit of a prequel to Breath of the Wild, and Zelda's character is fleshed out a bit more. Gentlemen.
Love it. I love a good fleshed out character.
TC, favorite Zelda game?
Ocarina.
Ocarina?
Ocarina.
Say it however you want.
Ocarina time.
Fans say it however they want. Okay. It's all good.
Ocarina.
There it is.
Of Tian.
I'm so sorry that I said Ocarina as soon as you said that.
It's okay. It's a knee-jerk reaction because I always knew it. We've discussed this before. Ocarina was what I said for ages.
Because you read it.
Yeah. And then once I started hearing people say it the other way, I'm like, have I been saying it wrong this whole time?
I say Ocarina in season 1, episode 1 of this very podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I chose Ocarina, but I say Bokoblin instead of Bokoblin. I don't care.
Yeah.
Pronunciation doesn't matter.
Ocarina of Time's my favorite. But Majora's Mask is a quick second. And I know that's a pseudo sequel to it.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting.
I know that's.
Do you have a Switch right now? If you don't, that's okay.
I don't have a Switch. No.
Maybe I have to do something about that. Okay, here we go. Let's do our last one here. This is a shot in the dark here. James Alexander, in our favorite Dwellings episode, which is season 5, episode 1. James Alexander here says, longtime listener, first time commenter. You guys really do a great job. So glad Kate is back as a semi-regular host.
Hooray.
All the other contributors are great.
Oh.
But Dave and Kate just have a really special podcast chemistry together. And that makes the show a real treat to listen to. Keep doing what you're doing. I feel like I should have saved that for an episode that I was with Kate on. But at the same time, it's been an absolute blast to have people like you two on the show, and all of our blog writers have also contributed. Yeah. And I think we've really kind of fleshed this show out into a nice little family. I think it's really great. Kate is amazing. I will always appreciate her as a co-host. She has she's one of the only people, when I do this show, she's one of the only people that will say something that I don't expect or something. You know what I mean? Like she will every
fish
third,
pants.
Okay, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that either. But you know what I mean? Like that's when you know you're with a really good co-host, is when her reactions might be high fiving over here. You see where I'm going with this, though,
you're
guys?
Being
you know
sweet about Kate, and we're over here being doofuses.
hey, best friend doofuses.
BFFs, BFFDs.
I'm eternally grateful for all the new voices that are on Another Zelda podcast, and also it's nice that we found a way to have Kate be, as she puts it, regular part-time.
Part-time.
I love it.
Whenever the Another Zelda podcast ad comes up in the other 6.5 media, I'm always happy to hear Kate's voice is still a part of that. Because you two started the show together. It's very much.
The show would not have started if it hadn't been for her. If I would have started this with anyone else, I don't know if it would have gotten to the place where it is now.
And her voice just has outside of everything that she says, her voice itself just has it makes you smile. She's like, hey, and you're like, oh, hey. Hi.
There's a tonality to it, almost a cartooniness to it in a good way. She jumps all over the spectrum with her voice, and I love it. All right, gentlemen. Let's see. Let's talk about our episodes tonight.
Okay. Do you need that still going?
Yeah, keep it running.
Okay, all right.
It's all good.
All right.
It's pretty normal for us to be about 15 minutes in to get to our topic.
Yeah.
How do we get to our topic tonight?
So I want to start by saying, everyone, you can't see it. Well, you guys can. But everyone has notes in front of them because we were watching these episodes and everyone's taking these notes. I have not seen any of these episodes before, and I was so hypnotized by what was happening to me. I have almost zero notes.
Well, that's okay.
I was just mouth open, what is happening?
So this is
before I could actually write things down. You guys are all scribbling stuff down. Just
well, it's fascinating you should say that, Dan, because this is kind of a part 2 episode to technically a part 1 that happened, I guess, whatever it was, season 3 or whatever. Mm-hmm. And TC, the first time we did this was about a year ago as of this recording. And I think we sat down and we watched the 3 episodes, and I think we thought, okay, we are both of critical minds. We can watch these episodes and then speak to it.
Yeah.
But then we watched all 3 and we pushed the record button, and we were almost post-mortem mesmerized, where we were like, wait, did this happen in that episode?
Which episode? And
it was literally 15 minutes ago as of our recording back then.
Yeah.
And so I think this time around, we both
just didn't want to get
took
lost.
a few more notes. But you had your first experience because this show is so odd.
Mouth agape, just what is happening?
The show's so odd that there's a little bit of, you're a little stunned the first time you watch these episodes, which I think happened to you this time.
Yeah. I mean, I asked to pause it a couple times because I was like, wait.
You asked us to rewind once.
I was like, wait, did Link just have Zelda's voice and also his lips move?
Some bad animation happening.
And then because I didn't see the first 3. The only 3 episodes I've ever seen are the ones we watched tonight.
Yeah.
And spoilers, I don't know.
No spoilers.
Okay, but
even if we jump around the episode.
There are 2 pieces of the Triforce.
We're jumping right into this.
Right?
Yeah. I had some thoughts about
and I just
this.
TC and I tried to wrap our heads around that in the last episode, but Dan, what are your thoughts?
That's it. That's my thought. Just a stuttering of confusion and so many thoughts all at once. So I don't know. That's why I was just I'm going to let you guys handle it, and I'm going to sit back and just enjoy the ride. I'm here to
Dan's
enjoy
about as
the
stunned
ride.
as you and I were last time.
First time.
What are your feelings this time, TC?
Knowing what we had watched last time and coming into this the second time, I was a little prepared, and I had remembered that there were only 2 pieces of the Triforce. I had one rationalization, and then I had to figure out why.
Okay.
So the rationalization is there's still triangles. They're still pieces of triangles, so
there's the
technically they're still
They're like little pyramids, right?
They're
Because
little
they
pyramids,
appear to be three-dimensional.
I don't know
Like,
if they're always triangles. Sometimes they look like weird, like
there's like
quadrilaterals.
a kite-like
some
thing
kind of
for a
strange
little bit.
3D thing.
Sometimes they float. Sometimes they're kind of heavy.
Yeah.
Sometimes they
like,
talk.
Yeah.
weird. But
Yeah.
I came with prepared information on this.
Ooh. Drop
There
it.
are only 2 Triforce pieces in this because the Triforce of Courage didn't exist until Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. And this show, as David told me, takes
Between
place
those 2 games.
between Zelda 1 and Zelda 2.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, I think you're onto something. Obviously, you found this research.
This is why there are only 2
because Dan,
pieces of
Shenanigans.
Triforce.
First challenge flag.
By the way,
it's
Dan-
called the Triforce. Un, deux, trois. Triforce.
I know. So in the original Legend of Zelda for the Nintendo Entertainment System, the first one,
Mhm.
you go around and you collect 8 shards of a single triangle.
Yeah.
And Link has the Triforce of Courage, and Ganon has the Triforce of Power, and that's it. You're right, TC. The information you found, that's it. So this
hate to,
cartoon is actually accurately informed by that game.
I hate
didn't
to
want-
excuse this terrible show, but that is one piece of accurate information, much like the sound effects, which I'm sure Dave will talk about.
Excuse me,
They-
TC.
They didn't want to spoil like the big reveal that there's a third piece in this series.
So
They're
is
like,
that are we to assume that wisdom comes in for Ocarina then?
I suppose so, yeah.
I don't think wisdom's in A Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo.
I don't recall.
Ocarina
Yeah.
was only the 4th Legend of Zelda game ever made.
Really?
Yeah.
so how long ago?
No,
was this?
I'm sorry, 5th. I'm sorry. Wait,
The Game Boy
5th.
one. There's the
Because
Game
the Game Boy's
yeah.
in there. Yeah.
You guys are blowing my mind.
What?
Wait, so from the very inception, it was the Triforce,
Mhm.
3 parts,
But it wasn't. The very first game, it was a single triangle.
Yeah.
really.
I'll show you a screenshot. Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah, because you
Look
have
at
to
me.
collect. You go to
Egg on
each
my
dungeon
face.
and you collect a piece of it, and there's 8 pieces.
Dan,
that-
so many people forget
egg
this.
on my face.
So many people forget this. But you collect all these weird pieces. You make one triangle. The bad guy's got the other triangle. They are called the Triforce. And
So,
I think it was
TRY.
Link's, I think A Link to the Past.
Try and get it.
The Super Nintendo game is the first time you actually literally see the 3 triangles together. So maybe wisdom is in A Link to the Past.
Yeah. Possibly. But the Triforce of Courage didn't exist until Zelda 2. Now, I don't want to excuse this show. I'm not trying to give them any credit because I kept writing down, does anyone actually care about the mythology of this series? Because they're getting the bad guy, like the animated, like the villains, like the creatures are right and the sound effects are right. But the rest of this is so wrong.
Well, the thing that TC and I wrapped our heads around a year ago was that on paper, technically, every bad guy has exactly the right name. Technically, every little prop has exactly the right name. Technically, every little item makes the appropriate sound effect. So, like for canon nerds, this thing's spot on.
Wait, is this canon?
No, it's not.
No.
Okay,
But like,
just making sure.
I
Just
have
wanted to
saying
make
is
sure.
I have some ideas though.
so what I'm saying is like the bullet points. This thing is a fingerprint of the game. However, when you look at the script
Yeah,
and the performances and everything else, it is so far away from the game.
the Oscar-worthy performances. Just real top-notch stuff here, guys.
I'm happy to go into like the individual episodes, but I'll say this overall on this show, for as poorly produced it is, there are some elements about it where I like, if the animation of this looked like Teen Titans Go,
Okay,
like that sort of chibi style animation,
Sure.
and you kept all the voice acting the same, I feel like you could excuse a lot of the ridiculousness in this. So like to have Ganon being like, like, I'm gonna get you, and then just imagining, like a character from Teen Titans
Sure,
Go
sure,
doing
sure.
that,
Yeah.
then it's like, oh, this is kind of cute.
yeah.
But the animation is done like really realistically. Like there was that
Which
night.
was the style in the 80s.
Yeah. Like if you,
They worked on the animation harder than anyone else worked on anything in the show. It's like animation took 90%
we mentioned
time.
that a year
Script.
ago, that there are
10%.
times, like you watch a G.I. Joe episode and it's a little bit of the like just the mouth moves thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like the character stands there and just mouth moves. This show has moments of that, but a lot of times there's like full animation happening.
Oh, yeah.
it's the action sequences, which we had commented on last time. That
Yeah.
when the action sequences in this are going, context aside, there's actually some
They don't Scooby Doo it. They
Yeah.
don't
No.
repeat cycles.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they do full animation for this
Yeah.
show. It's interesting
Sure.
and weird, right?
I mean,
weird.
Interesting is a nice word to use,
But that's it.
but I think it's also the wrong word to use.
Well, we're speaking about I brought us into aesthetic a little bit, but why don't we talk a little bit about theme, Dan? For you,
Okay.
This is a show of the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
written by people that probably wrote sitcoms in the 50s. And
I mean, but I can't really talk because I think if you go back and watch the real Ghostbusters
yes.
now, I think your memory of it is putting it in a much better place than the reality of what it is.
okay.
Because if you go back, there's times when like the lips are a little weird and the animation's a little, they're like, oh, like it doesn't really hold up as well as your memory really wants it to.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of am going to forgive a little of the animation faux pas here and there, but
Right. This was meant for elementary school kids.
Exactly.
It's a 15-minute bit on Friday before they go to school. This isn't even an after-school thing.
Yeah,
this
I'm gonna push up my nerd glasses for a second, but it would appear around 3 o'clock. So it was like when the kids were just coming in. It was like the thing you looked forward to. I mean, maybe
I remember seeing it in the morning.
So actually, the truth is, I don't know what the truth is. What I'm realizing is maybe in some
what is the truth?
local networks, it would be a morning thing, and others where but we were in the same city. But for me, it was like an after school thing, but maybe they repeated it. It doesn't matter. The whole thing was
whatever the case may be.
It doesn't matter. I'm sorry that I interrupted you, TC.
No, that's all right. You had to push those glasses.
I thought I had something and I didn't.
I seem to remember this being shown before school. Like there was it was live action segments with a kid with a robot. He was like a really.
So that I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of some other. Maybe I'm meshing memories.
But Super Mario Brothers Super Show
exactly.
for me was like at 3 o'clock, 3:30 when you got home from school. And Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday was a Mario episode, and Friday it was a Zelda episode, and that's where this show that we watched tonight lived for me.
I always assumed that it was just part of the Super Mario Super Show because even the ending is
it was Friday nights. Friday would be Zelda.
Was
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday would be Mario.
Did it get the whole episode? Did it get the whole 30 minutes? Or was it like you always have a Mario first 15 and then they would rotate the second half of whatever?
Go full Zelda.
There were live action bits with Mario and Luigi.
Always go full Zelda.
You gotta go full Zelda. And therein lies the thing with this. Like I think I did mention the Teen Titan Go style animation for Zelda. I think that a show like this could exist in its ridiculousness now. Like you wondered if one of these episodes was going to reference Hilda, and I want to know more about that. Yeah. But there are elements in these absolutely dumb 15-minute cartoons.
I feel obligated to point out that we watched the episodes Kiss and Tell, that sinking feeling, and Doppelganger.
Okay,
we didn't have on file. On the DVDs that we have that were given to us by Alyssa, who's also been on the show. She's amazing. She kind of lent us these DVDs to watch.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Hi, Alyssa.
One of the DVDs we basically watched episode 3, 5, and 6. We unfortunately didn't have 4 on this DVD.
Well, let's, I'll speak more to my point, but let's like specifically Kiss and Tell.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start. Let's discuss Kiss and Tell. What do you say?
Oh, well, did I take your point away from?
No. I actually want to talk about it specifically to each episode.
I think we also need to have a quick little note, and I'm sure you guys mentioned it the last episode where you guys talked about this. The amount of importance that revolves around kissing.
Oh, yes, the kissing currency.
It's ever present.
I think I deserve a kiss, princess.
It's like the motivating factor in every episode.
I mean, want to go through in time what's the longest time that spans before somebody says the word kissing between kisses.
The bad guy says he wants to kiss Zelda. Zelda says, I'm not going to kiss you, Link. Link says, please kiss me, Zelda.
Yeah, Sprite wants to kiss.
Kisses Link.
It's just a kissing show.
So the complicated part,
moment of
the complicated part is if I like imagine 10-year-old David, I'm probably watching this cartoon and thinking Zelda's super beautiful, and probably as a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old or whatever, you're thinking like, what's the most amazing thing that could happen with this beautiful creature?
Kiss her.
Maybe you kiss her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, I get it. I get that that's the ultimate thing, but
should we be teaching children that that's a motivating factor?
Exactly. That's the point. You shouldn't really like, even if that's maybe an emotion that a child has, that shouldn't be.
But it's the center of the universe.
Regulate,
here.
Like
motivating
regulated
factor.
Is that the right word? Normalized or whatever.
I see what you mean.
Or I don't know where I'm going with this.
Listen, if you help a girl at school this week, just make sure she kisses you after.
Right. Like that's destructive. That's dangerous. You know, if a boy has a crush on a girl, a cartoon girl, and a girl has a crush on a cartoon boy or something, that's something. Like I remember my sisters having a massive crush on Eric from Little Mermaid. and
I
they
had a
would
crush on
they
him
would
from
joke
Little
with each
Mermaid.
other
He's
and talk.
handsome.
You
They
kind
would
of
joke
look
with
like
each other
Eric from
and
Little Mermaid.
talk about.
You stop it. All right. We're already best friends. I don't
All
need
right,
any
all
more
right.
from you. Okay.
Okay.
My sisters would talk about how they wanted to kiss Eric when they were like 10 years old. I get it. Like kids have these emotions sometimes.
Mhm.
Okay. But I don't. So sometimes I look at it and I go, okay. Maybe a 10-year-old thinks this is okay, but I don't think this is what a 30-year-old should be writing for a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
That's
I,
a really
It felt
good
like it was
point.
written by 10-year-olds.
That's a really good point. I never thought that somebody had to like consciously write this
Yes.
down,
Yeah.
give it to an editor who said, that's it. That's the script.
and then give it to a voice actor to
who'd be like,
perform it.
Right.
well, they were just like, am I getting paid? Okay, sure. I'll
Now,
read these
TC, I'll
lines.
be honest. I felt like these 3 episodes were a little tamer than the first 3. The first 3 were like kind of shocking. The ones we listened to last year.
My first note: Link is actually less of an a-hole than when we watched last time.
Dan,
My
like,
first note is Zelda's kind of a jerk because
Whoa.
the first episode that we watch is she's riding through the woods and she's like, Link's sleeping in. He's lazy. And like, it's just like 4 lines of just bashing Link.
fascinating.
And it's like, I haven't met this guy yet and I already hate him. Like, wow.
Well, in episode 1 of this show, Link like comes out on his balcony, looks down at Zelda, basically, quite frankly, looks down her cleavage, and says like, "Hey, the view's great this morning," and goes and tries to kiss her. It's disgusting.
He's very
Like,
forthright. Just,
it seems like some of these episodes almost feel like they should be 15-minute blurbs on Adult Swim. You know what I mean? Like they would fit that kind
Oh.
of like very, very quick.
you're onto something better here.
Very, very quick. Like adults get the joke. Kids aren't watching it, so we don't got to worry about any of that stuff. And then we move on to whatever Family Guy episode they're going to show this week.
You're onto something better here. You ever see C-Lab 2022?
Oh, yeah, without a
So
doubt.
C-Lab 2021 was a show.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And it was a Hanna-Barbera show, and then they just redubbed everything and just reused the animation. Someone taking this animation and redubbing
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Hey, princess, how about give me a kiss? Like, just really go to town with some new voices and whatnot.
And just like,
There was a theme that persisted though in these 3 episodes compared to the first 3 we saw TC,
Mhm.
and Zelda is still highly empowered.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually have a note here. I don't
feel like-
remember where it was, but I realized. So when we spoke about this a year ago, TC, it was like, boy, oh boy, this writing's problematic.
Mhm.
We're celebrating a hero who's being a jerk to a female, and
Mhm.
and then we also it was complicated emotions because the female also kind of stuck up for herself, but also kind of submitted
Yeah.
without consent. Sometimes it was complicated. But for these 3 episodes,
She's kicking butt.
she's
Oh, yeah.
kicking butt.
There's a time where she gets kidnapped and then frees herself.
Yes, it's true. And I actually put this note down. I said, "Oh wait, Zelda still does all the fighting." And Link is just a jerk.
Yes.
Yeah.
He wasn't like coming onto her as hard in these 3 episodes as he was in those first 3.
Mhm.
There was less like he literally tries to jump on her in those early episodes. That wasn't happening anymore. And I realized it was 2 separate experiences. And also in the first episode we saw,
Kiss and tell.
Kiss and Tell, she literally says, I put this in my notes, I'll always be your friend.
Yeah.
Mm.
She specifically
Which,
said
I mean, their relationship is all over the place.
Yeah, because by that 3rd episode,
Well,
she's like
The
literally
sinking.
laying
Let's
on
get
him.
Well, the sinking episode starts out where they have full intention of a frolic.
making out.
Yeah, like
they're rolling in the hay.
yeah.
Oh, in fact, my notes here we're right back where we were.
Yeah, by the third
Yeah.
episode
Yeah.
we watched today.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had written as well that Zelda's kicking butt. This is great.
Yeah.
You had commented she uses more of the Zelda weapons than Link does.
She uses more of the yeah. Actually,
She's
I
using the
think- I
boomerang.
think we noticed
Which has
that.
a kangaroo on it, by the way.
That was funny. That was weird.
But was what I was saying earlier about like there are some good ideas here. I want a Zelda game where Link is turned into a frog, where he eats spiders to power up.
Oh, because so in the was that the first
And
episode?
that's in Kiss and Tell. So he gets turned into a frog
yeah,
for a
let's
curse.
set that up a little.
So Ganon's plan is to have a damsel in distress that is saved by Link, but Zelda saves her and she's up. The damsel's upset, but then Link shows up,
Yeah.
saves her, and she rewards him with what else?
A kiss.
A kiss, right?
Mhm.
And it turns him into a frog, which is horrible.
It's the reverse. I think so. Link never turns into a frog in any Zelda game.
Right.
There is never a
Enchantment.
enchantress. Is what
Oh,
I'm trying to say.
enchantress. Got it.
I'm
Okay.
getting a little tongue tied,
Mhm.
but there's that character in the beginning doesn't exist, although Gleeok very much exists.
Yeah, like
that
Gleeok
name, Gleeok was the three-headed dragon.
Yeah.
Gleeok is the three-headed dragon, I think, in Dungeon 6 in the first Legend of Zelda game. It might be Dungeon 4. But that was awesome to see like the correct characters. However, I thought it was interesting because there was like a sliver of wokeness in the beginning of that episode.
Because Zelda
A sliver. Because Zelda goes in and saves this maiden, and the maiden's like, no, wait, no, I don't want you. And Zelda's genuinely confused. Like, what are you talking about? I'm trying to help you.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And she's not even processing like, oh, wait, I'm a girl or I'm a guy or I'm a whatever. I'm a hero. I'm a princess. I'm a whatever. Zelda's just doing her thing. And that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt.
And then Link gets turned into a frog, and then he's apparently that's a bad thing, even though he can still do everything he could do before, plus new stuff. Like
But he's
stick
ugly
to the
now.
ceiling.
Yeah, I was like,
All the new stuff he can stick
boiled down. Ganon's plan was to make Link uglier but more powerful, and then he was just going to rule it all.
Yeah.
Like that was.
I finally got him. But the
What,
thing
he can
is,
stick to ceilings now?
we've seen Link turn into a Deku Sprout, which happens at the beginning of Majora's Mask.
Yeah, Deku Scrub. Yep.
Seen Link turned into a frog where he has to eat spiders to get life. I'm not saying I want a whole game like that, but at least some sort of portion of a quest. He turns into a Zoran.
Well, Majora's Mask, he puts masks on that make him
and he becomes like
the Deku, Goron, and a Zora.
Yeah, I don't know. That was like a small idea where I'm like, okay, that actually would be interesting in a Zelda game.
Like a different game mechanic or something. I
Just
get
to
that. I
have,
get that.
have a momentary portion where he's enchanted and turned into a frog-like creature. And
Sure.
I really don't think any game wants to reference this show, though. Like, I think the Zelda franchise is very much.
Is what I'm
They're
pitching.
very forward thinking, and they're like, don't ever make anyone look back at this TV show. Like,
I think my thought process here is with this first episode, Kiss and Tell, and then we'll go to break after we kind of discuss this episode a little bit more. This first episode we watched tonight, Kiss and Tell, Link gets reverse turned into a frog. The only way to cure the curse is that he needs a princess to kiss him.
Right.
That is so clearly that is not in Zelda lore in any way.
No.
But in like Eastern European lore of the princess kisses the frog and then the frog turns into a prince.
Classic
That's
fairy tale.
like a classic fairy tale.
classic fairy tale.
Sure.
And clearly the writers who wrote this episode were just riffing on that and going in that route.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. Again, I feel like 10-year-old David, I'm going to say this a few times tonight, would watch that episod in 1980 and go like, yeah, that tracks.
That makes sense, yeah.
Link's a frog and he needs the princess to kiss him. Wouldn't that be super cool?
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, oh, wow, he's really in a jam.
Oh, yeah.
How will he ever get a princess to kiss him when he's so ugly?
And then,
Out a
But
lot of
when you're
intellectual
10 years
thought.
old.
Yeah.
So like,
Without any intellectual thought, this makes complete sense. I mean,
that's what it is. I guess
If
that's
you
what I'm trying to
don't
say.
think about it at all, you're like, this tracks. Moving on. Like,
yeah.
and then
sorry, I interrupted you. I
then
apologize.
No, you're fine.
Sprite saves him.
So Sprite kisses him instead.
Yeah.
She turns and actually that was hysterical, a little bit of retcon. She kisses him. He turns into a human.
Yeah, how did that happen?
And I think in the moment, all three of us said like, oh, maybe the curse was true love's kiss,
Right.
not
I didn't
princess
say that.
kiss.
I didn't.
Well, maybe TC and I said it and maybe you nodded.
I went
yes.
like, oh, okay. Yeah. because anything can happen in this show. Like, I was like, okay, sure.
I
Like,
almost feel like true love's kiss would be better
Yeah.
because we all know Sprite loves
we
Link.
all know. Sprite loves.
didn't know. Didn't even know there was a Sprite. Thought it was Navi.
Sprite-
Was wrong about that.
Sprite only exists in the TV
I thought people
show.
were asking for a drink from Navi the entire time. They're like, hey, is it Sprite?
I have wondered about like later
Got it.
episodes.
Got it.
Apparently, Sprite does the ironing and the dusting in the castle,
Yeah.
Poorly.
and she's a princess of fairies. Her father's the king of fairies.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So like she kisses Link and he turns into a human and all of us thought, oh, maybe it's true love's kiss because
Yeah.
Sprite's not a princess.
Right.
And then the next scene, they're walking away and Link goes like, geez, why did it work when Sprite kissed me?
Mhm.
And just with a bit of dialogue,
Yep.
they retcon fix and Sprite goes, well, actually my father's a king, so I'm a princess. And it's like, okay, that's a thing
Oh,
now.
Okay.
But it wasn't set up in the beginning of the episode. It wasn't like we didn't know any of that. But anyway.
Does Sprite exist anywhere else?
No, 100% no.
Got it.
Only in
Okay.
the TV show.
Just making sure.
She looks like the fairies from the first game.
She looks like Julia Roberts from Hook.
She
I
does.
mean,
look
actually,
Like-
yeah.
like
But it's
with
about
the
around
pixie
similar
cut.
time frame.
Yeah.
This predates that a little bit, but she's got the pixie cut and all the rest.
Mhm.
Spielberg ripped off the Zelda animated series.
We all know it's
That's a
bombshell
lawsuit if I've
information
ever heard
here,
one.
folks.
We all know it's
Heard it
true.
here first.
Yeah, this will not stand.
A few more things about
Good thing he wrote that original West Side Story movie too.
Zelda still does all the fighting. Zelda is empowered again. Link is just a jerk. Perfect sound effect of Link's sword.
Mhm.
So when he fires the sword,
Yeah.
and actually you mentioned this real quick, and let's go to break after this point. But in this first episode especially, he basically just has like a sword gun because he just shoots out, lasers from his sword.
He has full health.
Oh yeah, well, like
That's it exactly. So what they're referencing is in the early Legends of Zelda games, if you have full hearts, your sword can shoot out power.
Right.
But they really lean hard on that in the show, don't
Even though he's getting knocked down and beat up, he can still fire his sword, which is very inaccurate, if I'm being honest.
see, I don't know. I thought like maybe it was just like a censor thing where like they didn't want to show like him slashing through someone.
You might be onto something.
or something
there.
like that. So they're like, okay, what? Okay,
Let's have the magical
'cause
sword beam go out.
We have to have the sword in there, but like if we just have him shoot beams and then they just kind of they explode into magic
Evaporate,
dust.
So back in season 1, I spoke about this a little bit, but I'll bring it up quickly here, and then I guess we'll go to break. When it comes to like Saturday morning cartoons or children's television, and even in other children's form of media, the stop gate or the fall line is repeatable violence.
Mhm.
So if you show a character take a rock and hit another character over the head with a rock, that is something a child could go out in the world and repeat.
Oh,
And
I
that's,
see. what you mean.
that's a dangerous message to give to a child.
Mhm.
If you give them a sword or a stick or something, the child could go emulate that and repeat it, for whatever reason.
Right.
So a lot of times when it comes to, like the Ghostbusters was so successful because none of that is repeatable violence.
Yeah.
Even if you have a scary ghost, they're shooting out crazy laser beams and everything else.
And not only that, because you said Ghostbusters, so now I have to,
I
but
triggered
like
you.
they didn't blast the ghost. It was like a lasso.
Mhm.
It was
Exactly.
always just a
Captured 'em, yeah.
container until they got him into the trap and
Exactly.
then trapped those in the.
Exactly. So I think
Containment
this
unit.
show is 100%. It's just like in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they could never actually show Raphael use his size on a bad guy.
Right. Or Leonardo slice someone. Either.
Leonardo never slices anybody. They'll cut a rope to make something fall on a bad guy.
Wolverine on the animated series was always like, all right, let's do this. Shink, shunk,
and
punch.
close and
Yeah.
punch. And,
A lot
and
of
that's
kicks.
what it is.
A lot of kicking from that Wolverine.
And so I think this show is also in that spectrum of non-repeatable violence. So a sword that shoots out magic lasers isn't repeatable.
Mhm.
And quite frankly, if a kid pretends that they're doing it and just points a sword out there in the world, that's pretty safe.
Right.
I think 100% that's where that's coming from, Dan.
Oh.
And we just lost
Oh.
all our lights. It just got
wow.
very moody in here. Hey Siri, chill mode. Wow. Oh, do you know what it is? Guys,
I think.
do you know what just happened?
What?
Thank you, Siri. We are I have one thing programmed in the house here where 3 hours before sunrise, all the lights turn off no matter what. We're
That's
3
where we're
hours
at.
out to sunrise. That's how late it is right now.
Well,
Or
maybe
early at this point.
It's
Yeah.
3:54, which means we've been talking for a very long time and we need to go to break. How long have we been talking? 44 minutes. Perfect. Let's go to break. We'll come back and we'll discuss the other two episodes,
Okay.
which are That Sinking Feeling and Doppelganger.
in case you want to watch right now before we come back.
Go watch them
Yeah,
over this
yeah.
break. I feel like
Don't.
we're going to have a Studio Demands It ad, TC.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like we're going to have a fan fiction ad, Dan.
Let's clear our throats so we can do it live. You do an impression of Jim, and I'll do an impression of.
This is too much
Matt?
pressure.
Yeah, man. Okay, so here we go. This is what it's going to sound like.
Yeah, right.
Hey, this is TC,
And this is Jim from the Studio Demands It podcast,
where every episode we take a demand from a hypothetical studio
which could be you.
and challenge ourselves to conceptualize, pitch, and craft a film based on the stipulations
Or the demands.
we are given. We talk about movies all the time. Particularly, we complain about the choices made in the films we've seen.
We're nerds like that.
And, of course, like any good nerd does, we automatically assume that we could do better.
Even with the demands and restrictions that clearly must have been put on by a production.
So head on over to studiodemandsit.com and listen to our previous library of episodes. Our library of previous episodes. Our precious library, Jim. Our library of precious episodes.
You're a pirate, Smeagol.
Okay. So head on over to studiodemands.com to listen to our library of episodes.
And submit your demand for a future episode, too.
So go do that.
Okay, bye.
Okay, end of ad.
Has this ever happened to you?
This video game is bullshit.
Are you tired of gaping plot holes and boring gameplay mechanics?
Look, all I'm saying is that if a full-fledged Krogan is falling off a platform, there's no way Commander Shepard has the upper arm strength to pull him up.
Has reading become just too tedious of a chore?
Ugh, books.
Are you bored of your same 3 murder podcasts?
Shocking. It's The Butler.
Allow me to introduce you to the brand new fan fiction podcast with an X, hosted by our lovely basement-dwelling and real-life Muppet, Dan McCoy.
Well, that's hurtful.
And myself, of course, the blonde bombshell with the blood of Odin and the great looks of Jake Busey from Starship Troopers.
That's accurate.
And with our powers combined.
No.
Oh, you never let me do what I want to do.
I said no, man. We're not doing that.
Fine. Anyway, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your fix from. Remember, fan fiction with an X.
All right, we are back from break.
Great impressions. Wow. Like you sounded just like Jim.
You know, I feel like if you get the phlegm not out, but like halfway up, you can just channel it the entire time.
Okay. I don't.
TC, your version of Matt was stunning.
I like blacked out for a second. I don't even know what I
saw
did.
it. Your eyes were rolling back.
Yeah, it was
pretty
weird.
creepy.
Yeah.
I thought it was like almost a seizure, but then you just started with the
No.
impression. I was like, oh, he's got it.
There it
He's
is.
in the
I
zone.
locked in.
It's
I
great.
locked in. It was great. So you're welcome.
So Jen's, oh my gosh, my notes aren't up. Second episode. Thoughts? Someone help me out.
That sinking feeling.
That sinking
Zelda is so thirsty at the top of this
Oh my
episode.
gosh, like-
Jeez. But thing is, every time she goes to kiss, like Zelda's all about like, okay, fine, I'm gonna kiss you. You finally earned it. You took me to a cute grove. There's a Cupid over here.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a date thing going on in the
And
beginning.
every time they go to kiss, the ground shakes and splits open. Things sink. So I think this was a lesson on abstinence.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, it was a very special episode of The Adventures of Zelda.
The most distracting thing for me was the circle basket. Like it was
picnic basket.
It's a picnic basket that has a completely rounded like you can't put anything in there. This just
You can put stuff in it.
Yeah,
I just
well,
can't say that the stuff will
flawed.
stay in it when you set it down.
Flawed from the first thought.
Yeah.
This was a
0 out of 10.
departure. The beginning of this episode was odd because Zelda has spent 5 episodes, I guess 4,
Denied.
like essentially Link acting like a really crappy husband from the 50s and Zelda like defending herself.
Yeah.
For the most part. And then all of a sudden at the top of this episode, she's all into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, okay. Yeah.
There's literally 2 minutes where they both just essentially discuss the currency of kissing each other.
Yeah.
The currency of kisses.
More than once in this episode, they lay on each other.
And
Yeah,
I don't want to sound I don't care how I sound, but like I don't know the plot of this episode.
I don't know if I fully tracked it either.
I like honestly because like the castle comes up.
It was vignette. Little things just kept happening
Yeah.
and not happening and happening and not happening.
Yeah.
Castle comes up, spiders. Castle goes down.
Right. Something goes down again or something goes up again.
Cupid goes down.
And that was it.
And
Zelda
then,
hasn't had
and then
enough.
Zelda's like war on Ganon.
We are just
Like-
he took Cupid away.
Like
it's go
Ganon
time.
was I wish he was just sitting like on the bathroom or something, and he's like, I didn't do any of
I didn't do any
Like,
of this. This is just faulty foundation on wherever you built things.
The Cupid statue's gone. War on Ganon. Like,
Here-
and if he's terrible and you know where he is at all times,
Get him.
Why are we? It's not date night. It's destroy Ganon time. Like,
My first note for this episode is we're right back where we were. I just saw it now.
Kiss. Oh, well, I want to say this. The Castle of Hyrule getting sucked into the ground to an underworld that Ganon controls could be cool in the game. That could be cool in the game.
well, the theory
Yeah.
on Breath of the Wild 2 is that Castle
goes
goes.
Ganon,
Hop on
Ganon
it, right?
pushes it up. We'll
So-
see.
But imagining a game where Hyrule, like the Kingdom of Hyrule or just the castle, gets pulled into an underworld that Link has to venture down into in order to save the people in there and get the castle back to the service.
Like
that would make a good
dungeon. Yeah.
Yeah, that would make like the whole
That's
game
kinda
is
cool.
a dungeon. Yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting. Oracle of Seasons has an underworld, but the castle doesn't go down there.
Yeah.
It just kind of exists.
And certainly there's dungeons underground over the course of all the games, but imagining that the entirety of the game takes place in the center of the earth kind of thing.
Now, Link's Awakening has a dungeon where halfway through the dungeon, the castle falls and then the map changes because of it.
Yeah, okay.
So if you could take that to like a further degree and have maybe you are at the castle and you play the dungeon. We're riffing a game right now. Blue sky, like a cat. You go into the castle and you play it a certain way, and then it gets sucked down, and certain things change because of it.
Yeah.
Later on in the game, you come back later. That'd be kind of cool.
And
shocking TC's pitching things like.
Well, I just think this is such a good idea. You guys should kiss me.
Oh, jeez.
I think I earned it.
You're literally doing a dialogue from the episode.
Yes,
yeah, good.
Do you see how uncomfortable that was?
What was so uncomfortable about that, guys? Gosh. Excuse me, princesses.
Oh, was this the one with the princess opportunity?
No, that's the third one has the princesses.
Yeah,
the double princesses.
The doppelganger.
He said, "Excuse me," like 4 or 5 times in that episode.
Is this the one where Ganon like he teleports literally 4 feet? No, that was the first one.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I have to go. Teleports 4 feet, and he's just turning the opposite way. It's like, okay, well,
it totally happens. And also, I was thinking about that though. But in the first game, when you're it's silly and ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to justify anything, but it's interesting because in the first game, when you're battling him, he really does just teleport 3 or 4 tiles over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that's his thing. When you fight him, is that you're trying to go for him, and he just kind of zips around the room.
Okay. Accurate. Okay.
Within the same room.
There we go.
So like it kind of lined up as weird as it was.
No. I actually feel bad how awkward you guys felt when I told you to kiss me.
Well,
it got really weird.
It gets super weird, and like imagine how Zelda feels.
Yeah.
It was palpable how uncomfortable I made you guys. I want to know if the listeners were uncomfortable.
Point made.
Yeah.
I wasn't uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Point made.
Well, hands get
You're so warm.
Goria,
You're like the inside of a sleeping bag.
I did appreciate.
Fantastic.
I did appreciate that in the second half. In this episode, the sinking feeling. There was the wolf character that was like he kind of talked like Cookie Monster.
Oh, the no neck.
He's like, "Hi, I'm a wolf. Me not wolf. Me do a thing that's important.
me help sing castle.
Yeah. The Goria, they are a character that's in the Legend of. If I'm correct, if I understand correctly, they're a character in the Adventures of Link from Zelda 2, and they're the wolf characters that come at you with a little knife when you're in the temples. Maybe you guys have experienced.
Sure.
Maybe you
Yeah.
haven't.
Yeah. I can totally picture him.
I thought it was kind of. I think this was an accident. I don't think it was on
Probably.
purpose, but it was clever because these characters in the Adventure of Link, they don't have very good artificial intelligence. They literally just jump and go to the right, and they don't have any decision making skills. They're really quote unquote dumb in the game compared to some of the other bad guys. And this wolf character was a bucket of bones
Mm-hmm.
Do you
in the
think there
intelligence
was
department.
possibly one person involved with the whole of this series that cared enough to get these details in?
Well, everyone else wonder a little bit.
Well, we have
there are details that are so right.
Yeah. I feel like maybe, just maybe, there was one person who gave a damn,
Like cared about the game.
who was like, maybe if
Not the script writer.
the couple.
Yeah,
no,
It's definitely not the script
didn't a
writer.
couple write this second one? It was like a husband and wife.
There was one. Yeah. We could pull it up, but yeah.
Hey,
that was why.
maybe make the wolf guy dumb.
Yeah.
Make him kind of dumb.
Or maybe that was the one thing one of them said and then demanded credit. Like it was 99% written by one of them.
Oh, I see.
But just
I
a small
know.
little idea. It's like, okay, now we
Matt Damon wrote the most of it. But, Ben Affleck slipped in there with a couple ideas. He gets credit too.
Also, this is the episode where the Triforce became a balloon for no reason.
Yep. And the king shows up.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh, hey, there is a man-on-man kiss in this.
There is. Yep. There
Link
is.
finally earns his kiss.
That's kind of the finale. It's like the whole like, ho, 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 ho.
I want to speak of the inappropriateness of that. Not that a man kissed a man. Not at all. I felt that they went out of the way to make the king effeminate.
Whoa!
The way the voice is done, he kind of sounds like this.
I didn't pick up on this.
And I think that it was almost as if that's a way to excuse in this very sick mentality of
like
the
in the
era.
early 80s.
Yeah.
I hear you. I think it was just a joke.
It felt maybe
Like, it was just like he wanted Zelda to kiss him, and it was the king.
It felt like the tropey,
just like
royal voice.
Waka waka.
But I hear you. There was probably some femininity in that.
Maybe I read too much into it in my this show sometimes, and you could see the joke coming that the king is going to kiss Link.
Yeah, because it's basically a pronoun thing or whatever. Because it's like our Link is like, I deserve a kiss. And that's all he says. It's not
okay.
Pronouns.
Well, I think you do. Or
are you sure?
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your beard is scratchy or whatever. I just felt there was a little bit of, and it's the 80s. It would be of the era to be like, well, okay, we better make this guy a little,
not super macho. Or
yeah.
whatever.
Otherwise, people will wonder what's going on here.
I just think it was a bad joke. You
know what? This is probably all right.
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh man, and I feel like I have one other thing. Oh, the bracelet, the power bracelet was in this episode. That was kind of fun. And
it
allowed Link to pick up heavy stuff,
and jump super far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was kind of cool. Let's move on to Doppelganger.
Doppelganger. It opens with him whistling the Mario theme.
Yeah, that was weird.
It starts out with a boomerang assassin. Right? That's
he's crawling up the side.
Yeah, I mean, just
the Moblin comes up the side of the tower and then spies on Link, who's whistling the Mario Brothers
not
theme.
a spy. He straight up attacks him.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he jumps in the window, like, and throws 2 boomerangs. You think, like, Ganon was like, all right, I got to take out this Link guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to send 1, but wait, 2 boomerangs? Link's not going to know what hit him.
No way. He takes him out like that.
I'm going to give you 2 boomerangs just in case the first one doesn't come back.
Somehow this Moblin, like,
then you'll have
his
another
spirit gets sent back to Ganon. Remember that? He doesn't, fully die. It's weird because then Link is like, tell Ganon that's what happens to people that come and try to fight
this is
Link.
This is a theme throughout because even in Kiss and Tell, when the Hydra is defeated, it then goes back to the giant glass vase thing that Ganon just draws his powers from.
Okay, I think you're onto something here. We never see none of the bad guys literally perish or literally die.
They evaporate.
They all get zapped into the blue whatever, the blue light or the blue digital whatever.
Sure.
And they reappear in Ganon's, what did you call it? Bong?
His menagerie.
I was like, look. Yeah, I call it Ganon's bong. Yeah.
It's like a weird, it's like a strange, like 20-foot tall glass ball of smoke and characters.
He's like, go get them, my henchmen. Breathe them out.
But that might be a little bit of that repeatable violence thing too then. So these characters don't actually die. It's the Phantom Menace robot. You can slice robots to... Jedis can slice robots to 900 pieces, but they shouldn't slice a human into 900 pieces is what it is.
There can be oil, like if you cut off something, but it can't be blood. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So then all these characters kind of go back to Ganon's lair into his weird bubble thing.
But that goes towards a question I have every time Ganon does anything. If he can just teleport anywhere,
right,
and he can just do whatever magic is necessary, how is he having such a hard time doing what he's doing? He even literally could just in Doppelganger, we even talked about this. There's an evil. He sends an evil mirror that replicates Zelda, so then she kidnaps Zelda, sticks her through the mirror, and can steal the Triforce. What's that?
But not Sprite.
Yeah, what was the determining action to make the evil reflection come through?
It must have just been programmed or enchanted to specifically capture Zelda's likeness.
Sprite's the first one, and then
she looks at it for a while.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I get it. And then nothing happened, and then Zelda walks up, and then not only does the Doppelganger, but an entire army
comes
behind
through.
her, jumps through.
Maybe they were just waiting for her to appear in the mirror to grab her.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
let's work with that.
Mm-hmm.
But if Ganon has all these powers, it's just ridiculous.
And in the 3 episodes we watched, the Triforce of Wisdom, right? That's the one we're carrying around, or Courage? Which one is it? Wisdom.
Wisdom doesn't exist yet.
Oh, Wisdom is so it's Courage.
Link has Courage
and power, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen them use the power of the Triforce twice. Once was to create a set of stairs out of nowhere, and one was to make a manhole cover essentially appear above them. In my experience in this, all that Triforce does is stone manipulation or some castle-based shenanigans. I don't know why everyone wants it so much.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a balloon and sometimes it's a rock. And sometimes it's so light that it can carry with a string. and sometimes they can't even pick
It's
it
a
up.
I need a kiss if you need me to. I'm gonna help this.
It's a random density, and it can create stairs and or manhole covers. And Ganon needs it now.
He's gotta have this thing. He will move heaven or hell to get this thing.
But you have this magnet thing that can pull an entire castle down.
That's worth some noting. An actual magnet.
Yeah, an actual
classic red with two
science
silver sides.
class magnet. Yeah.
Christmas exists in this
Oh,
universe.
that's a big one.
Yeah, wait, how did we determine Christmas exists? Does it say Merry Christmas?
No,
Because
says
Link
it's-
says like, oh, it's like Christmas.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Right.
So
yeah. 'Cause
all the implications
maybe
that
he gets
that
the
brings.
ring, or he gets something. He finds
Christmas
some item.
came early or
Yeah.
something to that degree.
Yeah.
And so that implies Jesus Christ exists in this
In
universe.
Hyrule. Oh boy.
We're
This
just going to
was
move on from that one.
this was the first time Link legitimately. Here we go.
Yeah.
Gets a kiss.
He got kissed by the evil
He
Zelda.
gets
I
kissed by
wouldn't say
evil
that's
Zelda.
a legit. Like, it wasn't the real Zelda. It doesn't
Lips
count.
hit lips on this.
This is the
It
first
does-
And
time.
there were
This is the first time in the show that Link's lips touch other
Oh,
lips. I
lips
can't
to
believe I'm
lips.
saying this
Okay,
sentence.
sure. Sure, that's fair.
I finally earned my kiss.
Yeah, but she was cold. He could
Oh.
tell. She
Oh,
wasn't,
yeah.
wasn't a flesh and
well,
blood.
excuse me. Link isn't a complete idiot in this because he figures out Zelda's not Zelda. You were ready to freak out if they named her. Now, who is
All right.
in Zelda lore? Who is Hilda?
So I've learned this recently. I learned this at the beginning of season 5. In A Link Between Worlds, there's like a dark version of Hyrule, and there's a dark version of Zelda who literally has a color palette swapped, like dark dress, dark purple, dark red dress on, and her name is Hilda. She has brown hair instead of blonde hair. Zelda has blonde hair. So she's like aesthetically dark, and she's from the dark world. Okay, fine, whatever. The reason when we were watching this and like a dark Zelda came through the mirror,
Yeah.
I was half joking, but I said, if her name ends up being Zelda, or if her name ends up being Hilda, I'm going to lose it, because it would mean that the Link's A Link Between Worlds game from like 30 years later referenced that.
Mhm.
But it was not like it was canon. They never called her Hilda. She wasn't Hilda, but there it was. I was like, if they say Hilda, that's going to be the coolest thing in the world.
That'd be cool.
I think games should reference this show.
Nope. This should be buried in a time capsule with every single
If
copy.
you really needed
and
to
moving
like put this in the Zelda timeline, it absolutely happens between
One
The Legend of Zelda and The Adventure of Link. Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. And I think you could argue that all of this is canon and useless.
Yeah. I think if this were canon, Zelda would call Ganon and say, please, just come kidnap me.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with this guy anymore.
Or unless the last episode, of the actual series, the very last episode, he does something and Zelda looks at him and she goes, "Shut up.
Shut up.
You shut up for forever. I am tired of you.
I never
And
want
he
to
just-
hear your voice
Yeah,
again.
and he just goes, "Oh." And then that's why
And
he's the
that-
silent
Oh, that's why
protagonist
he's
for the
silent
rest.
forever.
Yeah.
Oh my, oh my, oh my.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Dan, as I push my glasses up, actually, The Legend of Zelda and The Adventures of Link are at the very end of the timeline. One of the 3 timelines, the very end. So all this stuff precedes these adventures.
I knew that.
Thanks. That was,
But
thanks.
I see where you're going. I see where you're going with that.
These are at the end of the timeline?
Yes. There's a time. The
Wait,
timeline where
Wait, you
Link.
said we didn't have a third Triforce piece. How are these at the end of the timeline?
Well, that's a wonderful question.
That is a very
we
good
only have
question.
2 Triforce pieces. If
I'm
you're
into
saying,
that. I
if
get
you're
it.
saying there is no third one yet,
So,
Calm down.
yeah, the Triforce of Courage is not introduced until Zelda 2. So this takes place between Zelda 1 and Zelda 2 and Zelda 2. So, well, the timelines of the Zelda universe are really wonky because
Okay.
there's like 3 different versions and what is canon.
The
and
canon
it's-
timeline.
yeah.
I have it here. Oops. Here we
Yeah.
go.
And the nice thing is about pretty much all of these games are completely independent of each other, much like Mario games, where there's like literally no, it's not essential that you play in any particular order.
Right. And the timeline, everyone kind of jokes about the timeline, but here we are, Dan. Look at this. Skyward
Okay.
Sword, the Minish Cap, 4 Swords, Ocarina of Time. If Link dies in Ocarina of Time, then A Link to the Past happens, the Super Nintendo game. The Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages games happen. Then the Game Boy game Link's Awakening happens. Then The Legend of Zelda happens. And finally, the latest game canonically on the timeline is The Adventures of Link. So the TV show happens after Spirit Tracks, Four Swords Adventures, Twilight Princess, Phantom Hourglass, Wind Waker, Majora's Mask in other dimensions. So that's a thing.
So your Triforce thing doesn't work out.
I think you're onto something here. I love this. How did we lose, if we're going to
A piece of Triforce.
if we're going to go timeline wise,
Yeah.
how did we lose one of the Triforces by the time Link's Awakening happens?
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, it's ridiculous, but I love it.
It is the wisdom one, and there is no wisdom anywhere in this entire show,
It's
so it
weird.
makes sense.
Dan, you're trying to canonize this show, I think is what I'm hearing.
I'm just trying to make sense of what happened to me. Okay,
Today.
45 minutes of my life happened to me today, and I'm trying to find answers about it. Okay,
I hear you. Oh, we had a proper door farce in this third episode.
Oh my
That was
God.
kind of
Oh, yep.
Proper in quotes because so in cartoon terminology, it's you get a hallway. It's very Scooby-Doo where there's a series of doors and characters run in one door and they go to the other side. And that door opens and it goes to the other side. And they run. It's pretty standard, classic cartoon farcicalness. Sorta happens in this, except it's so slow.
yeah.
That's also why I called it a farce, because I almost felt like it was more like the pacing of a human play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what
That's
I
fair.
mean?
Yeah.
It was more like, a human, in a normal world where you go to a theater, you see humans opening doors and closing doors, and they're moving at the speed of light, but they're not because they're moving because they're physical carbon-based life forms. This cartoon, like, Link would run and a door would open and bang him in the face, and then another door would open and someone would go to a different door. That was like classic stage play farce for
Just
me.
very slow.
It's like they wrote this script for this one, and then someone's like, I don't know, man, I need like 15 more seconds. And they're like, all right, he opens a door, they run through. Like,
Maybe.
it just felt so, all right.
To me, it felt like they were really trying to riff on the two Zeldas thing, because we do have this evil Zelda. They are two different color.
they do fall in the mud. Yeah.
Well, yeah, then I guess that brings us
The
to
mud that only clings to clothing.
Because their faces are
Yeah, they're just completely makeup untouched.
Yeah.
Like, and just the clothing mud. I get it.
we had a quote here. Oh, yeah. This was a return to form. When Zelda,
The kissing
good
contest.
Zelda
Gosh.
is coming out of a tower, and then Link also comes out of the tower, bumps into her. They both fall off the tower, and he says to her, "Why don't you look where I'm going?"
Why don't you look where I'm going?
Yep. Even though he ran out and bumped into her and knocked her over. That's like, I don't want to. Oops, we just lost something over here.
Uh-oh. Well, I know. I thought you were going to mention or bring up the classic kissing competition
Oh, right. It's
that
like
they
the
had
only
to
way-
do to decide which Zelda was which.
The only way to determine.
Not like, what did we do last week?
Yeah.
Like,
Tell me something only I would know.
because that's the go-to. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
like say something like, "No, this was like, no, it's kissing again."
Yep. There's only one
Knock
way to
on the
solve
door.
this.
Who is it? It's kissing.
It's kissing
It's
time.
kissing time. All right.
Well, I will admit for the stupidity
We're
of
fine.
Okay.
the stupidity of it that it does work of the jokes in this series probably the best that the evil Zelda's like, okay. He's like, all right, that was great. All right. Then turns to the other
Next
Zelda
up.
and she's just
Smack. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, she slaps him and says, "I'm not going to kiss you."
that's
Yeah, that's
my
it.
Zelda.
Yeah.
And then Zelda murders evil Zelda.
Oh yeah.
With the sword, with Link's sword, actually. She zaps him.
No. She sends him back to Ganon's bomb.
Oh, yeah, get
We've
back to
talked about
Ganon.
this.
Yeah. But also, like, if you're looking at broad strokes here, that's some kind of like cop thriller drama film told in a PG-13 or R-rated version. The whole I knew who was the right one because it was the one that wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen those
Yeah,
films.
Sure.
So I get the broad strokes here
Yeah.
where they're going with that. You know what I mean?
It's fine.
Classic.
We just lost the camera for Magical Sword, but we're like coming to the end here. It's okay.
Oh, can they still see us?
No, they cannot right
Oh,
now. I'm sorry to
okay.
say, but the battery died on the camera, but we're good.
Oh.
All right,
That's
well,
why when I said something just happened. But anyway, so how about this? I'm going to go to Dan first.
Okay.
Dan, final thoughts on your first time being exposed to the Legend of Zelda cartoon that came out back in the 80s,
Sure. I think
maybe 90s. A little.
really, there's one continuous theme that I really picked out, and it was the moment of each episode that a smile came across my face, and I really was like, okay, this feels right. This feels like something my childhood. It just resonated with me,
Mhm.
and that was the end credits song, where
Oh boy.
the Mario comes up and he's like, "Shake your arms from side to side." So if I could take every episode and if it's a 15-minute episode, let's fast forward about 14 minutes, 55 seconds so I can
Mario
just
song.
get to that song Because honestly, like every single time that song came on,
Yeah.
me and TC started singing along.
Great times.
Like it was just like no matter what happened to us, we're like, is when you're from side is everybody, let's do the Mario. So
You guys are hurting my soul right now.
I mean, so it was a fun show. Like, don't take it seriously. No, it's campy. No, it's got some weird amount of adult humor in it for some reason. I'd watch another episode right now. I would. Like, I may go back and actually look for like the ones
The
you
other
said
one.
were like a little more egregious.
The first 3 were odd.
But
How many total are there?
I don't know, but I would say 12 off the top of my head.
Look it
Yeah,
up
you've
right
got
here.
the research over
Like-
there. Didn't you have some information about some of the voices and stuff too?
Oh,
actually,
yeah.
Casey?
Yeah, there are 13 episodes total. So
13, yeah. And I think that's it. They
that's
just
it.
kind of
Yeah,
just
it was
rotated
just a
them.
full series. So I won't step on your final thoughts. You were
I'm
There it is.
book closed.
okay.
How about I'll say this, then we'll go to TC because I know you're still pulling something up there, TC. For me, it was weird. I had a very surprising experience, TC and Dan, about watching it tonight. When TC and I watched the first 3 episodes, I was kind of not enraged is a strong word, but I was very uncomfortable with the messages that were accidentally being sent
Yeah.
with males, females, relationships, and the rest.
Yeah.
It was uncomfortable, and I reacted to it strongly. These 3 episodes tonight, maybe it's because it's later in the night or something like that, but they kind of started to blur for me, and I started to not be as offended. And I feel like that in itself is exactly the danger.
Mhm.
Like imagine a 10-year-old kid, an 8-year-old kid, a 12-year-old kid
Yeah.
taking this media in, and it starts to feel normal that Link's a jerk or whatever.
Earn the kiss.
Yeah, right. Like you can see how that starts to inform a child's reality, even though it was even accidentally happening to me tonight as we were watching. I was taking notes and all that kind of stuff, but like I didn't have like these clutch my pearl moments tonight like I did the first time we watched them, where I was like, oh my goodness, how could they ever?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was starting to blur a little bit, and I think I was getting a little desensitized to it. Maybe these 3 episodes weren't as egregious. I think they had their moments. Maybe we're watching this show slowly become a little bit more mature. Maybe that's giving the show a lot.
A lot of credit.
A lot of credit. We saw a little bit of growth with Link in the first 3 episodes. The first time we watched it, by the time the 3rd episode came around, the White Knight, he was doing a few selfless acts. Where in the first episode he was 100% fully selfish, to the point where in the second episode, by the way, Dan, in the first episode that TC and I recorded, Link full on just pretends he's sick to get out of things and stuff. Like he's like not a good guy.
Okay.
And we didn't see that tonight.
No.
You know, this was more. I feel like tonight, these 3 episodes was more like the classic tropes.
Sure.
The princess, the guy wanting to get a kiss tropes. It was weird when Ganon wanted to get a kiss from Zelda.
I also want to kiss.
Yeah. So like when your main currency is will you get a kiss or not from the princess, you being the good guys, the bad guys, or otherwise, I feel like that's the emotional maturity of an 8-year-old.
Which I think is funny. Just to go back to what we were talking about with the violence, where it's like we can't show them slashing.
Yeah.
We don't want kids to repeat this with other people, right? But at the same time, we're like, don't you dare slash at somebody. But anytime,
But it's okay to go tell your girlfriend to kiss.
But if a
We're in
girl,
kindergarten, you
but
need
if-
to kiss her.
If you do a girl a favor, she owes you a kiss, and you
Yes.
should ask for it.
You're right. That's
So,
the
like,
danger.
It's so weird how violence and sex
Yeah.
are so viewed so differently, but it's the same. It really is the same.
There's similar danger in
Yeah.
those things.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there, Dan. I agree.
That's twice I've been onto something in this
Nice.
episode.
Did I say that earlier too?
Yeah,
Well, I'll say
I'm
say
writing in
this
my
about the
diary.
show.
Dear diary.
This is the Star Wars holiday special of the Zelda universe.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
this whole show, right?
yeah, this entire Zelda animated series
Yeah.
is the Star Wars holiday special for this franchise. There's no reason to watch this unless you are such a diehard fan of Zelda and the universe. You gotta have a complete scope of everything that's available. Sure, give this a watch if you haven't already, but do not seek this out. Like unless you want to enjoy the ridiculous awfulness of it, like we've just presented
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
this is not a good show.
And my hot take is definitely don't play this for your kids.
Oh
No,
yeah,
no.
like we'll watch it.
I mean,
have
it
a
might-
joke about it, but like
Yeah.
if a niece and nephew or a younger one came in the room, I would pause it.
I can't say
You know,
that I would like sit my nieces and my 4-year-old nephew, my 8-year-old niece, and my 12-year-old niece. I can't say that I would sit them down on the couch and say, let's watch this because we're going to learn lessons.
Yeah, I don't think they'd like it. The animation is very clunky and
Pacing is just
it's just
grindingly
it's just
slow.
It feels very much like breakfast cereal. It's not meant to sustain a human being. It's meant to like shut them up. Like
Wow. Okay.
This
really-
is what's that?
No, I like that analogy.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
it's-
disagree.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is not good. This is not good. It's not a good show. But there is weird effort in weird spots. The sound effects are spot on. They do occasionally. All the monsters are spot on. We do have the main 3 voice actors here. So Jonathan Potts, who does Link, has a vast career of voice acting. But
Any standouts?
like
In his, I think you're basically just. What are you on
I'm
IMDb
just
right now?
up on IMDb.
Totally
here.
fine. Totally fine.
The
That's cool.
thing that he's most known for is like he only. So if you know how IMDb works, they tell you your 4 most known things.
Yeah, sure, right.
He only has 3 up,
Okay.
but he's credited for thousands of voices.
Yeah.
But it's all these like random guy here, random.
He's
guy
probably
there.
just a work. He's probably been
Yeah,
a working actor
he's-
for the last 30 years.
He's been working for ages.
That surprises me though, because when I heard him, like it's
He
a voice
sounded
that I've
familiar.
heard before.
Well, it's probably because we've heard him in thousands of other cartoon
Yeah.
characters and we don't even know it.
Meanwhile, Cynthia Preston, who voices Zelda, is still working to this day. In fact, her number 1 credit right now is Jack Ryan, the Jack Ryan Show.
Oh, on Amazon?
She plays Blanche Dubois, which is the main character of A Streetcar Named Desire in Jack Ryan. So, and she's been working very continuously on television since doing voice acting here. So, good for her.
Yeah.
Like she's all over the place.
Yeah.
And then Ganon. So now you thought Ganon sounded familiar.
I felt like he sounded like every 80s villain from any cartoon. I felt like he sounded like the villains from G.I. Joe. I felt like he sounded like the villains from He-Man. I felt like he sounded like the villains from Thundercats.
yeah.
But it's also that villain voice that like almost everyone can everyone can do this boy. Like
fair,
if you
that's
try
fair.
hard enough, you know.
Well, he is not from Thundercats, but he has been doing voice acting as well. He was the Green Goblin in the Spider-Man animated series.
Whoa,
Which
the one
was
from the 90s?
From the 90s.
I can
yes.
see that.
Oh, cool.
So like he's been around. Like, but the majority of his voice acting is video games.
Oh.
I see
funny.
a Thor thing.
So
up
also
here.
probably another
Thor,
working actor
Cypher,
situation.
yeah, Swamp Thing. Like what's wild here, and this is a quick reference if Jim ever decides to listen to this. He voiced the bad guy in the Raccoons, which is a cartoon that I referenced on a wild whim in one of our shows where I started describing it and Jim was like, I know this. It was like a weird Canadian cartoon.
Okay.
Anyway. But these voice actors, they're earning their paychecks. But it's weird because I think Cynthia Preston as Zelda is doing the best vocal performance on this show.
Yeah, I would agree. It's the least. Well, honestly, I don't. No pun intended. I'm not trying to be clever.
Yeah.
It's the least cartoony.
Yes.
It's the most like
Yes.
real character
Yeah.
voice.
She has
So-
the most natural voice,
Yeah.
you know.
It doesn't surprise me that she is still working that she's on Jack Ryan right now.
Yeah, I hear that.
But yeah,
See that.
this show is so dumb. And it's a fun dumb to watch with you guys.
Mhm.
It's fun to do.
If I were watching this alone, I don't think I could consume it. And I'm going to reference the show Gummy Bears,
Okay.
which is also from the 80s.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I tried to go back and watch it on a kick of watching DuckTales. I found Tailspin. I got
right,
Darkwing
right.
Duck. I went back to try to watch Gummy Bears and I couldn't do it.
Like just the writing was rough and
It's
stuff.
just rough and it's dumb and it doesn't have the effort that even the first season of DuckTales has. And DuckTales loses its quality over time as well.
Yeah.
And I think you said it best. We have nostalgic glasses when
Yeah,
we watch
oh,
these
yeah.
old things, and how we remember it is better than it actually is.
And so, like, I said a few minutes ago that I don't think I would take my nieces and nephews and sit them down and have them watch this. I don't think, TC, one of the closing comments we had the last time we watched these first 3 episodes was, this is clearly a television show that is a product of its time,
Mhm.
and some of the things that were acceptable in the time that it was made are less acceptable now, or at least we have slightly more. Our culture has slightly more mature thoughts on some of these themes.
Absolutely.
And so I'm not, so to say that I wouldn't in 2022 put my nieces and nephews in front of this TV show, that's true. Am I dissing the people who worked on it and blah, 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 and what this probably was in the 80s? I don't think this was I'll just say it. I don't think this was a toxic show in the 80s relative to the 80s. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I don't think it was made maliciously.
Right.
You know, it's not like people wrote this and you're like, oh, man,
I don't think poor choices were made. I think
can't
it's
wait
just
to
of
poison
the
the
80s.
kids with these kissing comments.
Yeah.
You know?
And it doesn't feel like it was made by people aside from that one guy we like to believe snuck into the production. it feels like people who are like, we got the IP, we can make some money off this.
Yeah,
Whatever.
write some-
Super
write some
Mario.
scripts.
Super
Mario's
Hour.
working. Let's
Yeah.
throw some other ones out
Yeah.
there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that way, it's kind of an interesting piece of history,
Mhm.
kind of a fun thing to look at. And we're definitely going to watch the rest of this show. I think there's probably, there's 13 total episodes,
total, yeah.
and we're roughly 6 in. We're going to do 2 more of these over the next couple seasons. And what I hope happens is I hope our perspectives continue to refine as we watch more and more of these episodes.
Maybe the show will evolve and our opinions will evolve with it.
The coolest thing in the world would be that if Link shows growth by the end. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
I doubt it. I mean, I
know.
don't want to sound like a pessimist, but
The thing is, like when we watched the 3rd episode last time, I thought, oh, Link is growing. Okay, that's what they're doing. They're gonna give him growth.
Yeah.
But when we got to the 5th episode this time,
Wow.
and Zelda's all about kissy kissy in front of Cupid,
Mhm.
I was like, oh, well, we lost all of the
Right.
traction we were
Here we
building.
are.
question, do we even know if the order matters? Like, there's no underlying plot. There, like,
I don't think they reference other episodes. in the
Yeah,
episode.
so
Yeah,
really,
you're right.
it's we could put all of the episodes into a hat and then draw 3 out and say this is the
Yeah,
order. You know,
could
so
be.
like,
Did he grow? Well,
We're
Yeah.
following the order that's on Wikipedia.
yeah,
right?
oh, okay,
Sure.
sure. Which
Of
would
like-
maybe like release order.
Could have
Yeah,
been
so-
release order, yeah. All right, guys. This was great. Thanks so much. It is now 4:37.
We did it,
It
guys.
is going
Alright.
to literally start to become bright out before we go to bed.
Let's go
Alright.
get breakfast.
Thanks for having this weird podcast sleepover episode with me. Let's go over to TC first, because TC, you were part of part 1.
Hi, how's it going? Good to be here.
If people want to find, I mean, at this point, I think a lot of our listeners are pretty familiar with Studio Demands It, but why don't you do your pitches and do your stuff?
Sure. If you would like to hear me talk at length about the process of writing, particularly film and television, we have the podcast, The Studio Demands It, here on 6.5 Media, which is linked wherever you find Studio Demands It. Wherever you find 6.5 Media, you can also find Studio Demands It. But you can find us at studiodemandsit.com. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at TC's Big Head. And yeah, I love doing these crossovers with you because we do find some new listeners every time. And I love hearing from you magical, wonderful people here who then follow us over to Studio Demands It. And of course, even if it's just to listen to David, I'm cool with that too.
Well, a little behind the curtain here. Tomorrow, as of this recording, tomorrow, the 3 of us are going to record a Studio Demands It
That's
episode.
right. Yep.
And I don't know if it's exactly coming out the same time as this episode, but they're going to be close to each other.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for that. We'll definitely be tweeting about it and everything else.
But thank you for having me on. I love doing this. If just talking geek is just fun to do. And even if we have a topic to focus on, that just makes it easier to just talk at length.
Absolutely. Dan, this is a bit of an annual thing for TC and I. I'm really grateful that this year you were able to join us.
Great.
You've got your show, Fan Fiction, out there now.
Yes.
And why don't you...
Like a burrito.
So I also don't mind saying this. As of recording this, your show actually comes out a week from now. So you might not be
Yes.
totally used to the elevator pitch yet.
Yeah.
But as people are hearing this episode, you're probably on episode 4 or 5 out
Yep.
there in the world. So if people are, if they enjoyed this episode and they want to go learn a little bit about fan fiction,
Fan
why don't you
fiction?
pitch it.
Yeah. So hi everyone. My name's Dan.
Oh wait, Dan, Dan, you're here.
Hey, I'm just. This is my pitch. It starts
Holy
with an
moly.
introduction. So it is me and my friend Matt. We've been friends since junior high, and it is me and him being silly, having some fun ideas about video games. It's a celebrate and elevate kind of show. First half, we're going to talk about, we have a God of War episode, Borderlands, like any major
You
video.
got a Zelda episode in there.
We're starting out with Zelda. And then this first half is celebrate, talk about it, everything fun about it. And then the second half is like what we would do to fix, like what we want to see, what we want to build on, what we want them to build on.
Yeah, I've heard some of the episodes already as being a producer of the show,
Yeah.
and there's a lot. Yeah, you might talk about what you like about it. You're doing video games for season 1.
Yeah, season 1 will be video games. Yep.
Loosely, maybe season 2 will be comic books or movies or something, but we're just going to take it as we
Yeah.
go here. But
Yep.
season 1 will be
We're
all
feeling
video
it out.
games. But it does seem like it's like you talk about what you know about Mass Effect, Zelda. What, have you guys done a Mega Man one yet?
No, but
I feel like you
we
have
haven't-
to because
we
of
haven't
Matt.
recorded it, but it is in the script.
I see.
Nice.
And then after the break, you guys kind of like You expand on the lore. You
Yeah.
expand on the mechanics. You
Yep.
expand on where you'd enjoy seeing it go.
Yep, that's exactly it. And me and Matt's comedic takes on basically everything. It's me and Matt trying to make each other laugh for about an hour, and we hope you laugh with us.
So TC, I will tell you, when I was listening to the very first episode of Fan Fiction, it was Dan and Matt introducing each other for about a minute and a half,
Mhm.
and it was hysterical.
Yeah.
And all they were doing was introducing each other. So
Okay.
it was a lot of fun happening over there.
There's a lot of good stuff on the cutting room floor. We went on a bit about baby carrots for about a minute and a half that we just had to cut. So, but if you guys really want to hear it, the demand's high enough, I'll release the baby
The
carrot
studio
cut.
demands it.
The studio demands
Yep.
fan fiction, the baby carrot cut.
There
The
you
baby carrot cut.
Release
Oh my
the
goodness.
baby carrot
Oh
cut.
my goodness. Oh my
If you've
goodness.
enjoyed this episode and you want to hit up Matt, you should hashtag release the baby carrot cut. Where can
Bring it.
people find you?
So we will have a fanfiction Twitter. We're setting that up.
Yep.
There will be a fanfiction website. I'm on Facebook, Dan McCoy. Please feel free to find me. I'm the guy who hasn't posted anything in like 2 years, but I'm on there quite a lot.
Fan Fiction spelled FanFixtion.
FIXTION. Yep, absolutely. We'd love to see you jump on over and give us a shot.
And say hashtag release the baby carrot cut.
Hashtag release the baby carrot cut.
Goodness, you guys, my goodness. All right, cool. So if people like the show, Another Zelda Podcast, you can find us on Twitter and Twitter at Another Zelda Pod, Instagram at Another Zelda Podcast, Facebook, YouTube. You just search Another Zelda Podcast. You can go to our website, anotherzeldapodcast.com, where you can just find links to all of our episodes, our blog episodes, and the rest. And I'm David. Hi, I'm David. I've been here.
hello.
I guess you do introduce
It's about
yourself. when don't
time
know
you
what to say
introduced
next.
yourself. This entire time I was like, who is this
man
guy?
next to me? I'm on
really
Twitter
likes
and
Zelda.
Instagram at Another Zelda. I can't even think clearly, guys. At another,
The steam is like slowly leaving
rapture pain.
the engines here. I can see you both.
my eyes are getting heavy.
diminishing. if
I'm
you will.
literally leaning on the microphone. Just
We're 10 minutes away from it being 5 o'clock in the morning. So let's call it here. Thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight, listeners. Even if you're listening in the middle of the day, this was a blast. This was a bit of a marathon, a lot of fun. It's kind of fun with 3 people.
Yeah.
It does have a little bit of that kind of like 1980s sleepover vibes to me personally. A little bit.
Who falls asleep first?
The only thing is we're not like tucked into our sleeping bags right now
But
as
we
you
did-
would as a kid.
we did do each other's nails right before this, so just
There
to
was
really-
that. There
Mhm.
was that, which was fun.
And all of us look at our nails collectively. I loved it. Just like,
In real life, even
Yeah.
though we know it was a bit, we still looked at our nails.
yeah, they are
Commitment.
nice.
Commitment.
Okay. Yeah.
No. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. TC, we'll see you soon over there on Studio Demands It. Dan, we'll see you soon enough on Another Zelda Podcast or Fan Fiction.
I'm a little bit everywhere.
Gentlemen, have a good, until next time.
Until next time.
Till next time. Woo.
All right, bye.